The global gravity of the EU AI law. Why the August 2nd, 2026 deadline for the EU AI law is a technical mandate for US banks. The countdown has officially entered its final phase. On August 2nd, 2026, the high-risk provisions of the EU AI law will become enforceable, signaling a paradigm shift in how artificial intelligence is deployed across the globe. For many US-based executives, there is a lingering misconception that this is a regional problem, a hurdle for European operations to clear while domestic business continues as usual. However, the reality of the 2026 digital ecosystem suggests otherwise. Much like GDPR became the de facto global standard for data privacy, the EU AI law is rapidly becoming the global technical anchor for the financial services industry. Even for banks with exclusively US-only operations, the Brussels effect is already dictating the 2026 roadmap. Tier 1 technology vendors are not building two separate versions of their AI stacks. They are building to the most stringent common denominator. If your software provider is aligning their core architecture with European deterministic standards, you are already operating under the shadow of this legislation. The end of regional compliance. In our recent deep dive into Safe AI, the 2026 executive mandate, we explored how innovation is only an asset if it is operationally defensible. The EU AI law codifies this defensibility. It categorizes most banking and insurance workflows as high risk, requiring strict data governance, human oversight, and absolute transparency. US banks that ignore these standards face a compliance handoff tax, a massive operational friction that occurs when domestic systems fail to communicate with globally aligned vendor ecosystems. Furthermore, the regulatory atmosphere in the United States is not static. Domestic bodies like the CFPB and OCC are increasingly looking toward the European framework as a blueprint for agentic accountability. In the blog after August 2nd, your AI chatbot is a liability. We noted that the definition of a failure is changing from a customer service glitch to a systemic legal violation. For a US bank, adhering to the EU AI law technical standards is no longer about avoiding foreign fines. It is about future-proofing your domestic infrastructure against the inevitable wave of US-based algorithmic transparency requirements. Deterministic standards, the new baseline. The core of the European mandate is a shift away from probabilistic hope. The law requires that high-risk AI outcomes be predictable and auditable. For a bank, this means you can no longer let a large language model, LLM, guess at a credit decision or a policy disclosure. Tier 1 vendors are now integrating a completion and compliance layer into their 2026 stacks to meet these deterministic standards. This layer ensures that while the AI understands the customer's intent, the actual business execution is governed by a rules-based, non-negotiable shield. This architecture effectively neutralizes the risk of the EU AI law by moving the decision point into a governed environment. Quantifying your exposure, the CoDN metric. The financial risk of ignoring this global alignment is encapsulated in a single metric: the cost of compliance digital neglect, CoDN. This represents the hidden liability that builds up when a bank scales AI without structural governance. In a 2026 environment, CoDN isn't just a theoretical concept. It is a balance sheet reality that impacts valuation, audit readiness, and vendor relationships. If your technical stack is not aligned with the emerging global anchor, your CoDN will compound with every automated customer interaction. US banks must ask themselves, is our architecture built on the shifting sands of 2024 prompt engineering or the bedrock of 2026 deterministic compliance? Summary: stop guessing. Size your risk. The August 2nd, 2026 deadline is not just a date for European regulators. It is the moment the global financial sector adopts a new technical language. To ignore it is to choose digital isolation in a hyper-connected market. Is your AI roadmap aligned with global technical anchors, or are you accumulating cost-of-compliance digital neglect debt? Use our specialized engine to run the numbers for your industry and identify your specific exposure today. Size your risk and identify your CoDN at codn.colvu.com.